Hello, thank you so much for coming to Study Skills 101. My name is Erica.smith. I am the high school outreach specialist for Central and North Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas areas. And I'm really just your point of contact for all things, academics, test prep, college admissions. I will also have my contact information available at the end of this session. So feel free to write it down now or later. Also, feel free to, pause this session, grab, a pencil, a piece of paper, and take notes as well. Thank you so much for coming this evening. So to begin with, there are so many ways, right, to define a good student. A good student turned in all their homework. They know a lot about, one specific subject. A good student has possibly perfect attendance. We can keep going to include excellent writers, diligent studiers, strong test takers, and so much more. Those are all things that define a good student. Now, those definitions of a good student focus on what a student has done and not how they did it. Being a good student doesn't just happen to certain people. A good student puts in work to improve their grades. And if you want to improve your grades, it can take planning, time, and it means forming valuable study habits. Improving your grades starts with developing those study skills, which is, of course, why we're here tonight for Study Skills 101. All right, so you need to develop your study skills to get better grades in your classes. And here at the Princeton Review, we are experts in helping students improve their grades. We have done this for over 40 years, where we have helped students get better grades and into their dream schools, and the knowledge we use to provide these resources to students we are using in this presentation today. Everything starts with the resources we make for our live online academic tutoring and academy courses to help you get into your dream schools. We've created a full suite of testing and admissions resources that students can have access to anytime, anywhere. In addition to general academic prep, we also have a wealth of experience helping students improve on subject-specific exams like the AP exam. So whether it's our, long-term AP tutoring or more focused AP cram courses, we get students the score they want on AP exams. We also have online homework help that's actually really cool. It's available to students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And with homework help, you can connect to a tutor in hundreds of subjects at any time you need help with your schoolwork. In addition to today's event, we present a variety of free info sessions about academics, SAT, ACT, the preliminary SAT, AP exams, and college admissions. You can always join us for any of those by registering for our events, through your school, as your school can host a variety of different events. And we also offer some national events you can check on our website as well. Not only that, you also have expert advisors available to you. To learn more about, any of these resources, as I mentioned, and to speak with an advisor who will discuss your scores, your goals, and your timeline to find the tutoring plan that fits your schedule and your budget. All right, so moving on to the nitty-gritty of why we are here, we are going to cover 3 big ideas about study skills. First, we're going to discuss what you need to know about doing better in school and why you need, these specific study skills. Then we're going to talk about how you can use those skills in your classes and as you prepare for your exams. And then finally, we're just going to go over the way that strong study skills will improve your grades. And when we are done here, you can then begin working on developing your study skills to improve your grades. All right, so our first big idea is, what are study skills? And this is a tougher question to answer than many students actually think. Often when students use our homework help service or start academic tutoring with one of our experts, they expect answers immediately. They want to know, who won the Battle of Gettysburg or another statement of fact. That's what will answer the question on that current assignment. But answers to questions are not what help students succeed over a period of time. Study skills are. And before we discuss how you can use specific study skills and improve those grades, we need to define what study skills actually means. All right, so let's go back to thinking about the question that we began with here. What is a good student? So how do you think college admission officers spot a good student? Now, there are lots of correct answers, but we're going to take the most obvious answer. And as you can see here, a straight A student is in fact a good student. And when you see a high school transcript, like all college application readers do, straight A's are going to stand out. There are other ways to define a good student, and you need not straight A's to get into the even most selective college. But A's are the best grades, which means anyone who can get A's in every single class is, the best student. It is extremely difficult to receive an A, every semester, year after year. Yet straight A's are still the marker of a great student. And the real question is, how do students get all of those A's? Are they just the smartest students, or do they work the hardest? Think about what it really takes to get all A's. Okay. Now, a straight A student earns the top grade in English, math, social studies, science, foreign languages, as well as their electives. And the best students do that repeatedly. A straight A student is doing well in a variety of courses, covering a range of subjects from different teachers. A straight A student is a student that has found the habits, methods, and skills to succeed in school consistently. Because to make straight A's, a student received, again, an A on every quiz and essay and project and so on. And that means an A on every assignment and test. A straight A student does every piece of homework, turns everything in on time, and is well prepared for each and every exam. That is not as easy as it sounds, right? If you don't always turn everything in on time, then that's the first study skill that you should really focus on. A straight A student does well on every assignment because they are doing their very best. And that's the best way to start building your study skills, by evaluating your current performance. So evaluate your current academic abilities by asking yourself, these simple questions. That way you can honestly reflect on your ability to improve. So if you can ask, can I get better grades? Or can I improve academically? Then you will be reflecting on what you're actually doing in school. Ask about how you can approach specific assignments. Ask yourself questions such as, can you learn more from the lectures that your teachers give? Can you remember more of what you read in your textbooks? Can you reduce your testing anxiety before a stressful exam? Can you write stronger essays, for your courses? And can you be better prepared for the tests in any subject? For every single student, the answer to these questions is the same. It does not matter what your best subject is. It doesn't matter what your best skills are, and it does not matter what your current grades are. The answer to all these questions for every single high school student is yes, you can always improve. Every single student can always improve as a student. I don't just mean that you can learn more. You can improve the way you study and the way you prepare. You can improve, in any academic subject, and you can improve your essays each time you write one. And you can improve as you go further in school, because every student can always improve as a student, and you will constantly face new challenges in school. You have probably heard that, every single year of school, that the next year is going to be more challenging than the last. In middle school, high school is going to be tougher. And in high school, college is described as the ultimate academic challenge. This pattern could really continue through various levels of graduate school as well. And each new class is a new challenge too. That's why having strong study skills are so important. Here at the Princeton Review, our academic tutoring doesn't just help a student struggling in geometry get a better geometry grade. It actually creates a stronger math student overall, preparing them for algebra, trigonometry, and possibly calculus. But you don't just face new challenges when you start a new class. You will face new challenges during a class. So think about what's next in your current classes. You are very aware of what you are currently studying. If you are currently in an American Lit, US History, Chemistry, and Algebra 2 class, you know exactly what you are doing right now. You know the themes of Uncle Tom's Cabin and can probably explain the causes of the American Revolution. You can describe the layout, of the periodic table and solve linear equations. This material is front of mind, and you may have already developed skills to learn these topics. But will those study skills help you for what you study next? What if these are, the next things you study in your classes? You will be reading an entirely different kind of book in Lit, but that's not the only change. Do you need the same skills you are using now to learn about the Constitutional Convention, covalent substances, and solving inequalities? And the answer is no, you probably need other skills too. You will constantly be building on your study skills. Through each class and each semester, you will be adding new study skills to the ones you are currently using at that time. Being able to add new skills requires the right study habits. And building new habits is not something that just happens. It takes 66 days, they say, to form a new habit. So you need to start now. Evaluate your habits as you study. The most effective study skills are the ones that actually work. Your natural habits are not necessarily the ones that work. The natural human approach is taking the easy method. Be honest with yourself. Is this the best time of day for you to study? Are you successful studying last minute? And is this enough time to write your essay? Are the habits that you are you using now leading you to success? And can you evaluate even better after you get a grade? Did you get an A? Did you study in a new way? Make that a habit and see if it keeps bringing success. The right study skills begin with having the right approach. Before, you even begin studying, you need to approach it with the habits that will help you study better. All right, so a habit everyone always needs to develop is time management. You would be surprised how much more time you can learn and how much more you can learn and how much easier homework is if you manage that time wisely. So really start as early as you can on any assignment. The benefit to starting early is having time to get help if you need it. And as I mentioned, our homework help here at the Princeton Review is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even if you are working down to the wire, we can help you. You can also create deadlines for yourself, set, a deadline for smaller parts of your assignment, like your outline and rough draft. And this keeps everything on track for your overall schedule. And then finally, do your best not to procrastinate. Most students do procrastinate, but when you find yourself procrastinating, you should always find ways to get back to work. Time management is a key habit to developing those study skills. All right, so that leads us to our second idea this evening, and that is using study skills. Developing your study skills is, in fact, a necessity. The natural instinct for any student, or really any human for that matter, is to dive right into something. You have pages to read, or problems to solve, or a number of words to write. You likely want to just get it done as quick as possible. If you do plow ahead, you will not do as well. You likely knew that already, and I'm sure, and going fast can be a way to make mistakes. So you won't just study better when you use the right study skills. You may also study more efficiently and spend less time on your homework. For example, take an assigned reading. If you are given 20 pages to read, your instinct will be to read through those pages, 20 pages in order. That's the way to read a novel. But school readings are not written to entertain you, they're written to provide you with information. So start with a preview. Your reading will have chapter headings, obvious subheadings, bolded terms, breakout text boxes, and review questions at the end. Look at those first. You don't need to learn any of those terms or concepts yet, but the first thing you should do is know what the pages you will read will be teaching you. Next, read the intro and summary portions of a chapter. When you read chapter 8, the quadratic formula, for example, the quadratic formula is a method for solving quadratic equations. You will know exactly what you're going to be learning. Moving on, you should now read, but read in a specific way. Read in chunks. Use what you found in your preview and stop at new sections or after a certain number of keywords. Don't try and ingest all the information in your reading all at once. And also, of course, take notes on each chunk. Depending on the length of your reading, you may need to stop and take notes multiple times. But each time you do stop after reading a chunk, make sure your notes are answering those things you spotted in your preview. Because when you have an assigned reading, you need to know what will be on your exams. As a percentage, how much of what you read do you actually think will be on your exam? Well, it's actually 20% of the course content comprises the majority of the exam. We call this the 80-20 rule of studying. And this baffles many students. You spend all that time talking about so many different topics in class, and you will only see 20% of when you take a test. And that seems like a waste of the other 80%. So understand what the 20% contains. When you break down the 20%, you can see it contains the major topics, key terms, and main themes. Those are the big ideas of the course. The 80% not on the exam are the details, explanations, and examples that will help reinforce those big ideas. If you are taking a test on World War II, you need to know how the US entered the war and why. You will likely not need to know the name of every ship attacked by Pearl Harbor. When you study, and especially when you take notes, you should always keep that 80-20 rule of studying in mind. Make sure you have the 20% of topics that will most likely be on the exam within your notes. So let's talk about how to take notes. When it comes to taking notes, you have a few different options. We're going to start with an outline. And if you were told to quickly take some notes, you would probably start with a number 1 and write down the major chapter headings like this. And then you write down the name of the chapter or major topic. And as you go deeper, you indent to show relationships between those topics. Then you write down the subheading and examples from the book or the lecture. And you should summarize everything in 1 or 2 sentences just to have a neat recap of the main topic or for later. You can even write down any possible test questions you encounter, either directly lifted from something your teacher says or review questions in the book. But here's the thing. Once you've done that, your next section will look pretty much the same. And now imagine having to go through multiple pages of outlines to find the summary you need to review as you study later. And it can be difficult to flip through everything. Which is why many students and teachers like color coding their notes, as you can see here. You can make all headings 1 color, the examples a different color, your summaries a 3rd, and your possible test questions a 4th color. This separates the information out into what you need for later. You also don't need to be switching, pens or font color as you are taking notes. You could just go back and highlight your outline. This can help your later studying immensely. You can read just the chapter headings and the summaries by finding those colors. You can just look at the possible test questions, and if you need to see more examples to better understand a subject, you can read those, but only those. This can be especially helpful for visual learners. But there's still the issue of having to flip through, all your notes to find where things are located. So what if you started your notes from a different place? Maybe you should rethink your very structure of how you're taking your notes. I'm going to show you the two-column method of note taking, and you may have been taught this before or even had a teacher show you a slightly more complex version, which is called Cornell notes. But the hallmark of the two-column method is that it makes you create a review sheet as you're taking your notes. And so this is how it works. You're going to divide your note paper into two columns, with the left-hand side, as you can see here, being significantly smaller than the right-hand side. And as you take notes, the left-hand side should only be reserved for your major topics, main ideas, key points, basic terms, big questions, and similarly high-level ideas. Don't don't put any explanations or summaries on the left-hand side. That is for the right, as you can see here. You might look at a filled out two-column note sheet and wonder exactly how this helps you with your review. Well, what happens if you cover up the right-hand side? Now you can look at the items on the left-hand side and test if you know them. If you stumble, you can reveal the answers underneath in your detailed notes on the right-hand side. All right, so the two-column method might not be for you, but I want you to understand there are different ways to take notes. Reimagine how you take your notes and make your notes do what you need them to do. Consider how you've been taking notes and evaluate what you've been doing. Were your notes, better when they were handwritten versus typed? Were they better when you wrote more words or used drawings and figures? Were your notes better with abbreviations or when you actually wrote out fuller phrases? Were your notes, more successful when you wrote out in outlines or made idea maps? And if you really want to know what notes were most successful, all effective notes have the same answer to one question. Did you retain or forget the info in those notes? The real question you should ask yourself is, did I remember what I was studying after taking notes? It seems simple, but never assume that you remember what you've been studying. Fortunately, there's an easy way to test if you've remembered. Can you explain it to somebody else? Sit down and give a few explanations to a classmate or even a parent. They don't need to be an expert in the subject after you explain it or even remember it to themselves. You are checking that you have the basic concepts and big ideas that you just learned. And that's how you know how they can help you improve your grades. All right, so we're leading on to the third and final topic this evening, and that is improving your grades. Developing the right habits and having a broad base of study skills are a great start. Of course, the real point of having excellent study skills is to get those better grades. If you've developed your habits and know how to use study skills, you are well on your way to improving your grades. However, you need to know the best way to deploy those study skills to maximize the improvement you can make in your grades. And that starts with understanding one simple principle about all of your schoolwork. Every single school assignment is slightly different than any other school assignment. You cannot lose sight of the fact. This may seem simple and obvious, but you can't just say, well, a test is different than an essay. Your math assignments will be different than your history assignments, which are going to be different from your English and are all different from your science. You will be doing different things, of course, in each of your classes. You'll be doing different things in different history classes you take in different years of school. Individual teachers even have their own expectations and approaches to assigning work. So each class will present their own challenges. It goes deeper than that. The assignment you receive in class today will not be the same as the assignment you will get next from that teacher. You're learning about a different topic or your reading is more challenging. Most of all, each individual assignment requires a specific task from you. The first thing you must do to improve your grades is understand your task. Your task on an assignment highly depends on the type of assignment. If you read a book for a lit class and you must write a short response, that requires a specific set of skills. You must understand the reading and communicate your thoughts about the reading to your teacher in just a few sentences. But if you have a chapter quiz on that same exact reading, you will need a slightly different set of skills. You need to recall details and recognize larger themes when they are presented to you. And a chapter quiz is different than an online test. Where you are given more time, of course, to find answers at home. You need to demonstrate your knowledge like on a quiz, but likely in a different format. Similarly, a research essay requires a different set of skills than a short reading response. Even if it is on the same reading, you will need to delve deeper and find evidence to back up those points. And if you are assigned, in fact, to a group project rather than an essay, you're going to need a whole other set of skills. Most notably, you'll be working with other people, but you'll also demonstrate your knowledge by responding to different tasks. And in an in-class final takes a different, entirely different approach from any of these other assignments here. You could be tested on everything you learned in class, and your whole test will take place in one sitting on a single day. You need study skills to do well on all of these assignments, but you won't use the same set of skills across every assignment in your classes. When you receive an assignment, your first task is to know what study skills you're going to be using. While every single school assignment is in fact different, we can give two broad general categories of assignments. The first is quizzes and tests. From a quick pop quiz to a year-end final, any quiz or test you take in class requires similar skills. If you know you need to study for a quiz or test, you must keep those things in mind as you prepare. Quizzes and tests cover a wide range of material. Even a quiz covering just 5 pages from a textbook can ask about anything mentioned in those 5 pages. Now expand that same idea out to chapter tests or course finals. And you always remember the 80-20 rule of studying and focus on the 20% of material that is likely to be tested. Quizzes and tests are also taken at a specific time, right? Don't overlook that. You will take that test at your class time, whether that is first thing in the morning, right before lunch, or even at the end of the day. You need to be mentally prepared to take the test as much as you need to know the content. And then finally, on quizzes and tests, your questions will be chosen by your teacher. This can be frustrating because your teacher may ask about a topic you struggle with or that you don't like. You also get an advantage from this. Look at your prior quizzes and tests and learn the type of questions your teacher uses. Quizzes and tests require you to study in a specific way. You can even benefit from cramming for a quiz or a test, especially if it involves vocabulary or test dates. You must be ready for a certain set of questions you will answer at a certain time, covering a wide range of material. All right, that is a very different approach to preparing for a writing assignment. Whether it is a short reading response or a long research essay, writing more than a few sentences for your homework requires certain skills. First, a writing assignment requires a deep dive on your subject matter. Even a paragraph in response to a few short pages of reading makes you think more deeply than on a short quiz. For multi-page essays, you'll be engaging with the key aspects of your course subject. That means you must truly understand the subject matter. Writing assignments also must be thoroughly reviewed. For every essay needs to be reviewed multiple times and checked for clarity and grammar mistakes. And then, of course, finally, you'll be showing your knowledge on a writing assignment. Whether you are given a prompt or get to choose your own, you'll be staking a claim and share your perspective. Apply the right study skills for each assignment. Applying, I should say, the right study skills for each assignment is key to improving your grades. And improving your grades is, of course, something that will happen with each assignment, and you can grow from there. Students are often looking for that one big thing that will make them a better student. And in all reality, you actually need to start by working on the basic building blocks first. So you're going to begin getting better grades by planning your work and building those study habits. You follow that up by using time wisely and looking to what's next in each class. Then you work on studying the best way for you to remember what you learned and knowing your tasks on each assignment. When you get all of those similar building blocks in line, then the next layer is going to be so much easier. If you develop the right study skills as building blocks, you will have improved homework, stronger essays, and those higher test scores. These don't happen because you find, some logic formula, but because you've done the work that allows you to improve in school. And improved homework is going to provide stronger essays and higher test scores, which means better grades. When you look to improving your grades, don't start with, I need to get better grades. Start with all the study skills we've discussed here this evening and build upon them to be more successful in school. And you will keep developing your study skills throughout school. There are concrete actions you can take during classes and on each assignment, and they will all help you develop your skills. This isn't just true for high school, but applies to college and grad school and even your eventual career. And also know that you may change what skills you use for each class or each assignment. Study skills are not something you learn once. They are a habit you form and deploy over and over throughout school. When you know things will change, you can be prepared for anything. With the right habits, you can adapt your approach to new challenges much more easily. That's a good thing. You will encounter new challenges every year with each new class and new assignment. We can say what a good student is, right? A good student is someone, as I mentioned, that turned in all their homework. They know a lot, have perfect attendance, take tests well, and all the other things that we spoke about earlier. You can spot a good student in your classes, and your teachers might even point out a good student from time to time. There are a lot of ways to define a good student, yet what all those definitions have baked in is that a good student has developed study skills. And to keep being a good student, they have continued working on those skills because they will need them throughout their schooling for each class and each assignment. You need to do all of that to become a good student yourself. So now I hope that you know how to build your study skills to get better grades in your classes. We're just going to do a quick little recap. So think about our first big idea and what skills are. Study skills are the things that allow you to get an A on every assignment in every class. That means you must develop the attitudes and habits to succeed now and into the future. And don't forget our second big idea, using those study skills. Once you have developed your habits, you have specific things you can do on your homework. That means knowing the topics to study, as well as taking notes that make you retain what you are in fact studying. Finally, we discussed improving your grades, our third big idea this evening. Always know that every single school assignment is different. When you are given an assignment, figure out your task. These tasks will be different if you are given a test or an essay, but your assignments will all require specific study skills for that work. And your study skills will build upon each other, allowing you to develop your skills throughout school. So I hope that through all of this, you can now begin working on developing your own study skills to improve your grades in school. All right, so as this is a recording, I do not have any questions at the time, but I do have my contact information, Erica.smith@review.com. feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. We can always set up a one-on-one free consultation. And really, that can vary from student to student. So I do consultations where students might be like, hey, I need you to help me with my score report. Like, I want to learn what it means. Like, I've taken my practice test. I want to learn what my score report means. And then I can walk you through that and provide you recommendations with courses that I think will fit your needs and your goals. If you need college admissions counseling, I can refer you to that. Um, we have college admissions counselors that can help you with your essay and all different types of things. We have, as like I mentioned, homework help, academic prep, so many different options. So feel free to reach out, set up some time to chat so I can, figure out what you need and what your goals are. Other than that, thank you so much for being a part of this session. And I hope that you have a great evening.